Good evening, everybody. Alan Slaughterzinski, 321 Sportscast, and welcome here tonight to a special edition of our Future Stars segment here on 321 Sportscast. And, you know, we're blessed, as I always say in this county, to have athletes that really excel and go off to D1, P5 schools. And this gentleman sitting to my left is heading to one this coming fall. He is none other than former Rockledge Raider running back Jalen Mitchell. Jalen, how are you, man?
I'm great. How are you?
Thanks for coming in studio here today, headed off to Louisville. So talk about your experience so far this summer. What have you been doing? What have you been up to since your final days of high school?
Actually, the day of graduation, I got on the plane and I went to Louisville, and I've been there for a month so far. You know, this is my first break back.
Really?
Yeah, for a week. And basically, since I got up there, I took a class. I have one class, online class. I'm still going through it now. I just added another one yesterday.
Really?
So I'm going to 2 online classes while I'm away. And then basically that whole month while I was up there, we were just working out and getting conditioned for the season.
The big ACC, you're going to be in the ACC. Talk a little bit about playing for a Power 5 school, man, in Louisville. Why was the decision ultimately Louisville?
When you have an opportunity to play at a Power 5 school, you know, you're always going to take the opportunity. It's a kid's dream to play in, you know, one of the biggest conferences in the United States. It's honestly just a blessing. So I got the opportunity. They called me up and they was like, you know, we want you to come up here and we want you to run the ball for us. And, you know, it's an opportunity. It's not like there's always going to be competition in play.
Sure.
Of course. And, you know, I'm going to take that with a grain of salt, and I'm going to do my best to put whatever I have out there.
You know, it's crazy because I can remember, like, just yesterday, man, you were a freshman, sophomore, and I remember handing you plaques as a sophomore. I mean, it was
freshman too.
Freshman. That's right, freshman too, and not just on the football field, man, but on the basketball court. I mean, you excelled at all sports. Talk about the importance of playing all sports.
Mainly when we talk about all sports, the one that's most compatible with football is track. So I give credit to Coach Freddie and Coach Kenny in the track club. Just trying to get me a step faster each year.
You certainly got that.
Yeah. You can always get faster. You know, speed kills in football, and when you got speed, then you have a lot of control over what's going on in the game.
How much? Let's talk about high school a little bit, because the Rockledge Raiders were over the last 2 years the best that they have been since capturing state championships back in the 90s under Laurent Robinson and Hunter Pinkston and those guys. Yeah. They haven't been better since then. 2 straight years you beat the Cocoa Tigers. This year you didn't just beat the Cocoa Tigers, you put one on them. Mm-hmm. So you really leave Rockledge much better than you found it.
Yes, sir. Talk
about that. How important that was to you.
Going in, it wasn't really about changing the culture. It was just about being able to play with my brothers and try to make something good out of it, you know? Instead of everybody splitting up, one go to Cocoa, one go to Vieira, Red Island, Space Coast, we all just stayed together from Little League all the way up to high school, and we just wanted to have fun together. So basically that was the result of our goals, you know? Winning became the result of us wanting to go to college and play Division I football.
Yeah, well, you guys certainly did that. You know, our first interview we did here on 321 Sportscast was with Jayson Corbin. And then, of course, now you, and then, you've got a guy that's a year behind you, who many say you're a great football player. Jayson's a great football player, but a lot of people say the best is yet to come in Ladarius Tennyson. Mm-hmm. Talk about Ladarius a little bit.
He's a great player. You know, I'm not going to put anything down on him. Everybody has their own blessings. Everybody has their own hustle, I would say. I wouldn't say that he's the best yet to come. Well,
he could be.
Athlete-wise, yes.
Football play, he's got some work.
Yeah. Because he's so versatile in his game. But
all-around athlete, track, this, that, and the other. Do you plan to still do that? I mean, I'm looking at you, man. I can't believe how big you've gotten over the last 3
I've actually lost weight.
Have you really?
Yeah.
I mean, it blows my. I mean, but your upper body it seems to be bigger. Talk about conditioning and lifting weights. How much of that do you do?
In college or before I went?
Before you went and in college.
Okay, before I went, I can say my junior year I was lifting twice a day during the summer, and I was running twice a day. So I conditioned with the football team, lifting condition with the football team, and then I go on my own. I go to the gym, and then I have speed session in the afternoon.
What is the expectation? What expectation levels do you have? What will be your role with Louisville this year? Do you know yet? Obviously to compete, but we see a guy like Jaylen Corbin who was, as a freshman, a returner. Is that? I mean, can you get on the field and play right away at Louisville?
There's always opportunity to get on the field and play, as Coach would say. He says the depth chart is still open. There's no definite depth chart at the moment.
Yeah.
He's still evaluating us. But there's always opportunity.
How do you feel like you've done so far, performance-wise?
I feel like I've done excellent. I've been out there. I conditioned my butt off. I'm coming in first in conditioning. I got one of the highest numbers in the weight room.
Do you?
Compared to from freshman to senior.
That's what I was trying to get at.
So, I'm putting everything out there. I'm just going to keep pushing until I can get my break.
What are some of your fondest memories as a Rockledge Raider?
My fondest memories?
Yeah. Well, you know what? It doesn't even have to really be a sports moment. I mean, what are some things that when you're in Louisville, because, when we all go away to college and we have that first year, everybody hits that point where they stop and think about home. When you stop and think and reflect on Rockledge, what are you going to think about?
I'll probably just think about, like, those Sundays that we used to just get together and work out at the factory. And then the talks that we just used to have afterwards, we used to talk about everything. We used to talk about Little League, up into high school, what could have happened, what could have been different, and just reflect on our past. It's always a great time to come back and reminisce on memory.
I always felt like you guys played in 5A, and that 5A district, that region you guys played in was a gauntlet, man. And I really felt like if you guys had played in 4A or 3A or even 7A, in this region anyway, that you guys would have had an opportunity to win a state championship. That was just a tough gauntlet of a region for you. I mean, my goodness, man. Talk about playing in that region.
I mean, it comes with disadvantages and advantages. Playing against those big teams like American Heritage and Cardinal, you get a lot of more attention. And then it's better for players to get recruited when you play against bigger teams like that if you perform well. But, the disadvantages is you're going to have to play 2 top 3 teams back-to-back
in the country.
Yeah. Back-to-back, in the playoffs, and you're going to have to be able to uphold that to get to the state championship.
Yeah, we're not talking about teams that are just tops in this area. We're talking about teams that are tops in the country. And you stop and think about the job that the Rockledge Raiders did in those games, and you go back to that Cardinal Gibbons game last year in the playoffs. My goodness gracious, I mean, it could have anything. It could have went your way at any point in time. Talk about, Wayne Younger is a good football coach. I like watching. Wayne Younger's focused on coaching football. That's what he does. He's intense. Talk a little bit about what it's like to play for Coach Younger.
It's going to be tough for you, once you first get there, because you have to get used to him as a person. He's not there to baby you. He's not going to be there to give you everything you want. He's there to prepare you for college.
Right.
So what I noticed once I got to college was that everything that Coach Younger did, like, all the fussing and yelling and pushing your buttons, was to mentally prepare you for what they're going to do to you in college. Because I've witnessed it firsthand in college. They will really try you to push your buttons to get you out of character. But if you don't have that preparation and that experience, then, things can get blown out of proportion.
You really seem to, and that's, I got to be honest. I'm going to tell a story here. First time I ever stepped on a Rockledge Raider practice field, it was you and somebody else. And he was leaning on you guys pretty hard, man. He really was. And I thought, wow, man, and you guys were listening to him. You were attentive. And you went back in, and, I mean, you didn't blink. You went back in. You did what he asked you to do. And I thought, wow, I mean, these guys are really dialed in and focused on what he's saying. I was a little intimidated by the way the message was delivered, but, it had been a long time since I had been on an athletic field and played for a coach like Coach Younger. But I love to hear the answer that you gave, because it is preparing young men to become men, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
And then when, as you said, when you get to college, it can seem a little bit easier for you.
Yeah, because, like, during that whole time of high school, I was like, oh, Coach Younger, he's just mad at people and stuff
right.
like this. But you never truly appreciate what he has done for you until you've experienced the next level. So, like, once I got there, I really appreciated what Coach Younger did for us so much more, because he not only just prepared us for the yelling and stuff like that, but he prepared us physically, too, as well.
Right.
For the game and mentally, getting on the board and letting us know how we're supposed to write down plays, how we memorize them. different protections and formations and things
I like
that.
it.
But truly, without Coach Younger, I'm pretty sure like it would have been a struggle trying to adjust to college.
I like the answer. I do. Take me through the recruiting process. So you told us why you picked Louisville. But, you know, we're doing a segment here on 321 Sportscast with Willie Tillman from Next College Student Athlete, where we give recruiting tips. And you went through this. Did you enjoy the process? Was it frustrating, or was it all of that wrapped up in one?
It was all of that wrapped up in one. You know, it started pretty slowly. I got my first offer my sophomore year during the summer at USF, performing at camp, performed very well. But from that point on, it was slow until after my sophomore year. And then my junior, I started to pick up more offers and more offers. So basically, it started off slow, but then it drastically increased.
Did you?
Everything was coming at me like this.
Now, and the other thing too was, and it probably not you, because you're not a marginal player. You're a player that's going to contribute at the next level. Mm-hmm. So maybe you didn't experience this, but marginal high school football players get offers that aren't real offers.
Yeah.
You talk about that a little bit.
There's a lot of things that can go into that with ties to the school and relationships, but
it happens though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it very much happens. But when it comes to the recruitment process, and you know that you have to work a little bit harder than the next man, you have to take into consideration the reality of your future.
Yes.
So you need to choose a school that's going to fit you perfectly, not just because it's a big school, because you may go there and you may regret making that decision.
Right.
So go to where they actually want you. So if they don't want you, then
don't go. I think that's great advice. It's funny because Willie Tillman said the same thing. He's like, you know, that's the first thing you got to do. You might have 50 offers, but find a place that's perfect for you that wants you. Mm-hmm. And I know it sounds cliche, but it's true, because you may want to be at a school that may kick you some kind of an offer, but they really don't want you. And so that can also mess with your mind too, can't it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, no question, man. So we're here with Jalen Mitchell, and we're getting set to finish up with him. He's going to Louisville this year. Couldn't be more excited for him. You look at the guys that have gone on to play college football. The Rockledge Raiders, perhaps arguably, no other school in the area has produced P5 D1 college football players like Coach Younger has done. And Jaylen and Jaylen and others are a perfect example of that over the last couple of years. Arguably, no other school has been more successful on the gridiron than the Rockledge Raiders, and that includes the Cocoa Tigers, because when you take a look at what Rockledge did to Cocoa the last 2 years, you could always go back to that head-to-head matchup. Exactly. That's what I like to hear. What advice would you have for those out there that are coming into their senior season, playing sports, whether they're good at it or not good at it, just somebody out there about school and sports? What would you tell them?
Take all that pressure off your shoulders by just worrying about having fun. Don't worry too much about the future. Don't worry about the next day. Just focus on the day ahead that's on. You know, without fun, it's gonna drive you crazy.
Yep.
If you focus too much about certain things, like it drove me crazy during the recruiting process. But just go out your senior year, have fun, do what you got to do, take care of business the right way, stay out of trouble. That's what I can say. And
if you are an athlete that has numerous D1 offers, what advice would you give? A little bit different advice?
Okay. One person told me my junior year, at the end of my junior year, he said, while you're taking all these visits and, you know, talking to these coaches, there's one thing you always must do is listen to your mother, or listen to someone that's very close to you and that has been there with you throughout your entire life. If you don't have that person, there's only one other entity, whether you believe in it or not, but you know what I'm talking about. And, you know, if you have a lot of options, take it slowly. Take it one by one. Don't let these coaches bull rush you and, you know, try to make you do things that you don't want to do. You don't want to be pressured into anything, because that's a lot of kids go through that. And I had to go through it too. So don't let anyone pressure you. Just tell them to calm down and that you will make your decision when it's time.
I can't think of a better way to end it than that. I mean, that was amazing. Mm-hmm. You know, Jaylen, thank you so much. You know, you look at his numbers at Rockledge, nearly 2,400 yards, 27 total touchdowns. He was a beast on the football field. Just an awesome awesome player to watch, and I'm definitely going to miss watching him play. I'm sad because, as these players start to graduate, then I have to start, digging in on Saturday nights and watching highlights because I can't watch it all at one time. But, Jaylen, listen, man, good luck. And congratulations on all your success. We're all real proud of you here at the 321, and
Yes,
we look forward for you to have a long and prosperous career. For Jalen Mitchell, former Rockledge Raider and now Louisville Cardinal, I'm Alan Slaughterzinski for 321 Sportscast.